Okay, so I just want, this is going to be a little bit of a piecemeal BBC. I've got a few thoughts kind of going on today, but I did want to share a little bit about my experience in retreat and how it kind of segued into a really remarkable day yesterday. Venerable Children is on her way to Europe for 5 weeks, sort of working her way that way for the next few days. And so we're all kind of emerging from this beautiful time together here in retreat. Winter retreat gives us an opportunity to, the space is kind of like a physically closed, it's a quiet, very, very contained space where we get to really deepen our practice for 3 months. And as for my own experience, it takes me a while to give myself permission to be able to go deep. You know, for 9 months having a lot of responsibilities, a lot of coming and going, a lot of activities here at the Abbey, it takes me a while to really give myself permission that it's okay to let all of that go. And because of the kindness of so many people who support us here in the Abbey, that really helps me to sort of finally let it go and say, all right, these beautiful people in the world are supporting this place and supporting the training here and supporting the teachings here so that you can do this. And what happens in retreat for me that I just want to share, particularly this winter, is that the purpose of the retreat, at least in my mind, is that we have this very, very, compressed time to really work on ourselves, to really go deep and to watch the way that my mind works, how it relates to my practice, how it relates to whatever. This year we had refuge, so it was a beautiful, beautiful opportunity to really check what is my refuge, how deep is it, how do I relate to the Buddha, Dharma, and Sangha. And so there are times in the retreat where I'm so focused on myself that I keep forgetting about the bigger picture for why I'm here. And unless I bring bodhicitta up, unless I remember it, sometimes I forget that and I get really caught up on what's my mind doing, what's my practice doing. Not that that's a bad thing, but I keep forgetting the larger context is that I'm here because I'm working on my mind, I'm transforming my mind so that I can repay the kindness of all of you. And the most mind-blowing teaching that the Buddha gave, that I used a lot this winter to pull me in and then to open me up, was to remember that each and every one of you have been my mothers. Even the candidates have been my mothers. And that you have shown me infinite kindness over so many lifetimes, and that what I'm doing here is one of the small ways in which I can repay that kindness, is to work on my mind, to generate my good qualities, to be able to grow the determination to be free from this samsaric nightmare and to become awakened as quickly as I can. So I had some places in the retreat where I had to keep remembering this beautiful truth about what bodhicitta really is about, and that it is tied in directly to what I'm doing here when I'm on retreat. So for the first event yesterday, we had 85 people show up, which was a record, and it was a good reminder for me to remember, because while I'm here in retreat, all of you, your lives are going on. I mean, we're kind of paralleling. And yesterday when we had all these people show up, it was like, oh yeah, we have all these lovely people who, while I'm in here working on my mind, they're giving it their best shot out there in their lives to try to work on their minds, to try to cultivate their good qualities at whatever level they were, or where they are right now. I mean, we had everybody from the community to people that had never even been to a monastery before. And to see that, the enthusiasm and the joy of seeing us emerge from this 3-month silence, because they wanted to connect, they wanted to become acquainted with what we do here and to really hear the teachings. I mean, there was this beautiful kind of this aha moment for me yesterday as they kept coming in through the doors and filling up the spaces, saying, they can't wait for us to come out. They want to meet us, they want to see us, they want to hear what this is all about. And that was so much joy. And then I wanted to share some of the things So it was about the retreat. It was about this beautiful first event of the Abbey that brought all these people to come and be with us. And I wanted to talk a little bit about what Venerable, she was still here yesterday, she did the sharing the Dharma talk yesterday, on some of the things she shared that were profoundly practical and personal and deep. And I wanted to just, some of the things that I just kind of took this off the top of my head this morning on the things that stayed in there after yesterday. So she was, we're doing the Don't Believe Everything You Think, which is the verses of the 37 Practices of Bodhisattvas, and we're on verse 32. And it basically says, paraphrasing, but it talks about, since we don't know who the Bodhisattvas are in our world, it is best to refrain from pointing out faults of another person, because it really diminishes us. And I found it, first of all, very perfect considering what's going on in our country right now. There's a lot of pointing faults and blaming out there in the political arena, and that it's best for us to not only refrain from pointing out faults of people in our own lives, but also refraining from pointing out the faults in the larger context, whether it's the politicians or the world, what's going on. So she spoke directly, first of all, to the nagging habit that most of us have of pointing out the faults of others, mostly because we want to look good. Maybe we want to avoid looking at our own faults. Maybe we have a huge attachment to being right. Maybe we have this very, very strong belief that whatever difficulties, whatever pain I have in my mind, the problem is with you. So she really brought that up, that we have, as maybe as human beings, it's one of our propensities, probably has to do with ignorance and self-grasping. But we really have this very strong habit of pointing out the faults of others. And how it diminishes us as human beings, because picking out the faults really sets our minds into this negative momentum about not only are we pointing out the faults of others, but it becomes very, very difficult for us to see the good qualities in others. And not only that, but then it diminishes our clarity, the stability of our own minds, and to be able to see even our own goodness doesn't come forth because we're so caught up in this fault finding and blaming. So it's kind of a bad deal across the board, not just about our relationship to others, but our relationship to ourselves. She spoke about taking responsibility for our actions of body, speech, and mind, to be able to discern what is our responsibility and what is none of our business. It totally belongs to the other side of the relationship, and to be able to grow our compassion when we understand that, but to not own everything and to not give away everything as far as our responsibility when we have difficulties in our relationships. And then the other one that stuck quite strongly is that a person in the audience asked, well, how do we deal with these really intense emotional reactions with our interactions with certain people? You know, what do we do with all of that garbage that comes flying out of our mouths, or we just get so upset and bent out of shape about? And she basically said, and I keep verifying this in my own mind, is that so much of these intense emotional reactions have to do with these very old stories that we've told ourselves. Maybe something happened a long, long time ago, a similar dynamic. We responded out of defense, not knowing any better. Maybe we were scared, maybe whatever the cause was. But we created a story that kind of plays itself out when we have similar interactions with other people. And that she said, it's so important to just hit the pause button and say, is this true? You know, if I'm feeling this miserable, I've got to verify if this is justified, that what's going on in my mind, and I feel so badly, I better stop and hit the pause button and make sure that what I'm perceiving, is it true or not? And any afflicted state of mind we know is a wrong view. We're under the control of afflictions and karma. So she was really teaching. And what was so incredible is we had all these people in this room. You could hear a pin drop. She was just nailing all of the types of interactions and difficulties that we have day in and day out with the people that we most love, the people that we work with, the people that we can't stand, the people that we don't know that are playing out all sorts of wildness out there in the political arena. She was really giving us some very profound and practical advice. And the room was filled with people who've been practicing for 20 years and people who didn't even know anything about the Dharma, which just, once again, sort of stabilized and increased my confidence in the extraordinary skillful means of our teacher. I mean, she was able to talk to everybody in that room because there was a lot of head nodding and there were a lot of hands raising at the end of her talk. And so I really found it to be an extraordinary day, a wonderful way to come out of retreat. And by listening to Venerable Chögyam with her skillful means to be able to expound the Dharma in a way that was so accessible to so many people, to know that the reason that we do retreat, the reason that I want to do retreat, is to be able to grow my wisdom and compassion to such an extent, like her, to be able to meet whoever I meet and to be able to benefit, to be of help on a practical level and on a profound level. And so it was so inspiring to see this is what deep Dharma work looks like. This is what a transformed mind, how it manifests in the form of skillful means. And that's what I'm going for. And to be able to have the people in the room be able to experience that wisdom and compassion from Venerable Chögyam, to be in this wonderful space with us where our minds are kind of clarified. I think a lot of us worked very hard this winter, and to have such wonderful connection with a lot of new faces. And so this is just the beginning of a very exciting year here at the Abbey, and we're all looking very much forward to connecting and sharing the Dharma and being recipients and showing great gratitude to the amazing kindness that we receive over and over again. Anyway, some thoughts.